They say your life can change in a single moment. For some people, it's winning the lottery. For others, it's meeting their soulmate. For me, it was the moment a Venti Caramel Macchiato decided to fly out of my hand and land directly on the chest of the most powerful man in South Korea. Hi, I'm Maya Johnson, and this is the story of how I went from being a broke marketing assistant to the fake fiancé of a billionaire CEO. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. It was a Tuesday, a regular, boring, rainy Tuesday in Seoul. I was running late for the biggest meeting of my career. My boss, Mr. Chen, had been prepping for this presentation for months. Kim Tech Industries, he'd said, sweating through his shirt. If we learn this account, Maya, we're set for life. So, naturally, I was the one holding the coffee run. 6 lattes, 4 Americanos, and one very hot, very sticky caramel macchiato for myself. I sprinted down the hallway of the Chan marketing building, my heels clicking like a ticking time bomb. I can make it, I whispered to myself. I can make it. I reached the conference room door. It was heavy, oak, expensive. I pushed. It didn't budge. I pushed harder. Still nothing. So, being the genius I am, I used my shoulder and gave it a solid shove. The door flew open, and so did I, right into a wall of expensive Italian wool. Time froze. I watched in slow motion as the lid of my cup popped off. The amber liquid arched through the air like a majestic, sugary rainbow and landed, splat, right on the center of a pristine white dress shirt. The coffee dripped down the silk tie. It soaked into the charcoal gray suit jacket. It pooled on the polished leather shoes. The man wearing the suit didn't flinch, he didn't yell, he didn't even blink. He just stood there, looking down at his chest, then slowly, very slowly, raised his eyes to meet mine. Holy hell! He wasn't just handsome, he was devastating. Sharp jawline that could cut glass, intense dark eyes that were currently burning holes through my soul, black hair styled in that perfect, effortless way that probably took 2 hours. He looked like he'd walked straight out of a K-drama, a very, very angry K-drama. The entire conference room was silent. 27 investors, my boss, and the entire executive team stared at me. I squeaked. I am so sorry. I reached out to wipe the stain, realized I was holding a napkin that was already wet, and pulled back. I'll pay for the dry cleaning, I blurted. The man stared at me. His expression was unreadable, cold, distant, like a statue carved from ice and judgment. You, he said, his voice was deep, smooth, and shockingly American. You just ruined a $5,000 custom Givenchy suit. My stomach dropped to my knees. $5,000? That was my rent for the next 4 months. I can set up a payment plan, I offered weakly. Mr. Chen rushed forward, his face purple. Mr. Kim, I am so incredibly sorry. She's new, she's clumsy, she's… Leaving, the man said. He turned to my boss. This meeting is over. What? Mr. Chen looked like he was going to faint. But sir, the presentation… I cannot listen to a pitch smelling like a burnt sugar factory, the man, Mr. Kim, said flatly. He turned back to me. And you, I gulped. Me? Come with me. Where? To my office, unless you want me to call security and have you arrested for assault with a beverage. He turned and walked out, his ruined suit trailing coffee droplets on the carpet. I looked at Mr. Chen. He just waved his hand frantically, mouthing go. So I went, walking to my execution. His office wasn't an office. It was a fortress. Top floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire Seoul skyline. Minimalist furniture that looked uncomfortable and expensive. Mr. Kim, Kim Jae-hyun as the nameplate on his desk read, had disappeared into a private bathroom. He emerged 5 minutes later wearing a fresh shirt, looking annoyingly perfect again. He didn't sit, he paced. My investors are furious. They flew in from New York, London, and Tokyo. They expected a mature, stable CEO. Instead, they got a man covered in milk foam. It was caramel, I whispered helpfully. He stopped pacing and glared at me. Sit. I sat. The levered chair swallowed me whole. Here is the situation, Miss Johnson, Maya Johnson. Miss Johnson, my board of directors is old-fashioned. They believe a man isn't truly stable until he's settled, wived. They think I'm too young, too Americanized, and too reckless to run a multi-billion-dollar company. That's unfair, I said. It is business. He leaned against his desk, crossing his arms. I had a plan. I was going to announce my engagement to Park Ji-woo, the daughter of the Han Group chairman. It would have secured the investors' trust. So call her, I suggested. Jae-hyun let out a short, bitter laugh. I can't. She eloped last night with a French artist. Oh, I winced. I am sorry. I don't need your pity. I need a fiancé. He looked at his watch. In 4 hours. Good luck with that, I said, standing up. Tinder takes at least a day to get a match. Sit down. His voice wasn't loud, but it had authority. I sat. He don't need a real fiancé, he said slowly, his eyes locking onto mine. I need a body, someone to stand next to me at the gala tonight, someone to smile, nod, and wear a ring. He walked around the desk and stood right in front of me. Someone like you. I laughed, a loud, nervous bark of a laugh. Me? Are you crazy? I just spilled coffee on you. I'm a marketing assistant. I live in a shoebox apartment and eat ramen for dinner. Exactly, he said. You are nobody. No connections to my rivals, no scandals, just a blank slate. He pulled a folder from his drawer and slid it across the desk. Standard contract. 6 months, you pretend to be my fiancé. You live in my penthouse. You attend events. You convince my mother, who is terrifying, by the way, that we're madly in love. And why would I do that? I asked, crossing my arms. Because, he said, tapping the folder, I did a background check on you while I was changing my shirt. That's illegal. That's efficient. You have $68,000 in student debt. Your mother in Chicago needs surgery for her hip. You are 3 months behind on your rent. My face burned. You have no right, he interrupted. I will pay it all. The debt, the surgery, the rent, plus $100,000 bonus at the end of the 6 months. The room went silent. $68,000, my mom's surgery, financial freedom. All I had to do was fake date the hottest, rudest man in Korea for half a year. 6 months, I whispered. 6 months. Then we stage a breakup. Mutual differences. You leave debt-free. I keep my company. He held out a pen. A Mont Blanc, obviously. Do we have a deal, Miss Johnson? I looked at the pen. I looked at him. I thought about my mom limping around her kitchen. I took the pen. Deal, I said. But if you make me drink bad coffee, I'm out. The corner of his lip twitched. A smirk, maybe. We'll see, he said. I signed the contract. 2 hours later, I was in a salon chair getting the Billionaire fiancé treatment. Hair, sleek and shiny, makeup, natural but expensive, dress, a midnight blue silk gown that cost more than my entire life. When I walked out, Jae-hyun was waiting. He was typing on his phone, but when he saw me, his fingers stopped. He looked me up and down, slowly. You clean up well, he said. Thanks, I muttered, tugging at the hem. I feel like an imposter. Good, that's your job tonight. Now, the first test. The investors? Worse, he said grimly. My mother. We drove to the family estate in silence. His car smelled like leather and power. When we arrived, the house was massive. A traditional Hanok mansion mixed with modern glass. Madame Kim Sun-hee was waiting in the parlor. She was tiny, elegant, terrifying. She sat on a velvet chair like a queen on a throne, sipping tea. Mother, Jae-hyun said, bowing slightly, I would like you to meet someone. He reached out and took my hand. His grip was warm, firm, reassuring. This is Maya, my fiancée. Madame Kim slowly lowered her teacup. She looked at Jae-hyun. Then she looked at me. Her eyes scanned me like a barcode reader. Hair, dress, shoes, soul. American, she said. It wasn't a question, it was an accusation. Yes, ma'am, I said, bowing as low as I could without falling over. It is an honor to meet you. And black, she added, turning to her son. Jae-hyun, you know the expectations of this family. I do, Jae-hyun said, his voice hardening. You expect me to be happy. Maya makes me happy. He squeezed my hand. I squeezed back, mostly out of panic. Happy, she scoffed. Happiness is fleeting. Legacy is forever. Does she even speak Korean? I'm learning, I piped up. 안녕하세요? 감사합니다? Madame Kim closed her eyes as if in pain. She has the vocabulary of a toddler. She has the heart of a queen, Jae-hyun shot back. I looked at him, surprised. That line wasn't in the script. We are getting married, mother, with or without your blessing. Madame Kim stood up. She walked over to me, stopping just inches away. She smelled like expensive jasmine and disapproval. You may wear the dress, Miss Johnson, she whispered, her eyes cold. You may wear the ring, but you will never fit in this world. Enjoy it while it lasts. She turned and swept out of the room. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. My legs felt like jelly. Does she always kill people with words? I asked. Jae-hyun let go of my hand, his face falling back into its cold mask. She is testing you. Do not let her win. I won't, I said, standing straighter. I survived Chicago public schools. I can survive a rich lady in a silk robe. Jae-hyun looked at me. For a second, just a second, I saw something in his eyes. Amusement? Respect? Good, he said, because the gala starts in 20 minutes, and the press will be there. He offered me his arm. Ready, darling? I took his arm. I felt the muscle underneath the suit. Ready as I'll ever be, honey. And just like that, we walked out the door, into the flashing lights, into the lies, and into the biggest mess of my life. If you've never walked a red carpet before, let me describe it for you. Imagine staring directly into the sun while 1,000 people scream your name, or in my case, scream, "Who is she?" all while wearing 4-inch heels that were designed by a man who hates women. That was my Tuesday night. We stepped out of the limo and the world exploded. Flashbulbs popped like fireworks. I froze, like a deer in headlights, a deer wearing Spanx and a diamond necklace that cost more than my college tuition. Keep moving, Jae-hyun whispered in my ear. His hand was on the small of my back, warm and firm. Don't look down, don't trip, and for the love of God, smile. I can't feel my face, I whispered back through a frozen grin. Fake it, just like you're faking loving me. That part is easy. You're very lovable when you're not speaking. He let out a low chuckle. The cameras went wild. Look, he's laughing. The Ice Prince is laughing. Who is the girl? Is she a model? She looks American. We made it inside the ballroom of the Grand Seoul Hotel without me face-planting. Small victory. The room was dripping in gold, literally. Gold chandeliers, gold cutlery, people dripping in gold jewelry. Okay, Jae-hyun murmured, pulling me closer. Phase 2, the investors. Remember the backstory? Yes, I recited. We met at a charity auction for endangered sea turtles? No, that was your idea. We met at a gallery opening in New York. You were admiring a Monet. I was admiring you. Right, the Monet lie. Got it. A group of older men in expensive suits approached us. They looked like a council of wizards, but instead of magic wands, they held glasses of scotch. Mr. Kim, so the rumors are true. You've been hiding a beauty from us. Director Lee, Jae-hyun nodded respectfully. I apologize for the secrecy. Maya values her privacy. He looked at me with eyes full of adoration. I almost believed him. This is Maya Johnson, my fiancée. Charmed, Director Lee said, eyeing me critically. And how did you two meet? Here we go, the test. New York, I said smoothly, a gallery opening. I was staring at a Monet, completely lost in the brushwork. I looked at Jae-hyun. He nodded imperceptibly. And Jae-hyun walked up and told me I was looking at a forgery. Jae-hyun blinked. That wasn't in the script. The investors laughed, loudly. A forgery! Classic Jae-hyun. Director Lee slapped Jae-hyun on the back. Always the sharp eye. And you fell for him then? Oh, absolutely not, I smiled, gaining confidence. I thought he was arrogant and rude, but then he bought me a hot dog from a street cart because I was starving, and I realized he's just a softie in a tailored suit. Jae-hyun stared at me. The investors were eating it up. A hot dog? Wonderful. As they walked away, Jae-hyun leaned down to my ear. A hot dog? He hissed. I have never eaten a street hot dog in my life. Well, maybe you should, I whispered back. They loved it. It humanized you. You're welcome. For a second, he looked impressed. Not bad, Johnson. Not bad. Things were going great. I hadn't spilled anything. I hadn't tripped. I was crushing the fake fiancé game. And then the temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Jae-hyun? The voice was soft, melodic, and dripping in poison. We turned around. Standing there was a woman who looked like she was generated by AI to be perfect. Porcelain skin, silk hair, a red dress that fit like a second skin. Park Ji-woo, the ex. The one who left him for a richer guy. The one who broke his heart. Allegedly. Ji-woo, Jae-hyun said. His voice was cold, flat. I heard the news, she said, her eyes flickering to the massive diamond on my finger. Engaged already? It's barely been 2 months since us. Time moves fast when you find the right person, Jae-hyun said stiffly. Ji-woo laughed. It sounded like wind chimes. Oh, please, Jae-hyun, you don't do impulsive. You plan your breakfast 3 weeks in advance. She turned to me. Her eyes scanned me up and down, lingering on my hair, my skin, my dress. And you must be the replacement. Excuse me, I said. My Chicago was starting to come out. Actually, I said, putting on my sweetest, fakest smile, I'm a fast learner. For example, I learned that in this world, class isn't about the fork you use. It's about not insulting your ex's new partner just because you realized you made a mistake letting him go. Ji-woo's mouth popped open. Jae-hyun stiffened beside me. I didn't make a mistake, she sputtered. Didn't you? I tilted my head. Because you're standing here in a red dress trying to get his attention, while I'm the one wearing his ring. So if you'll excuse us, we have a dance to catch. I grabbed Jae-hyun's hand and pulled him toward the dance floor. He came willingly, looking slightly stunned. We reached the center of the floor just as the orchestra started playing a waltz. Jae-hyun pulled me into his arms, one hand on my waist, the other holding mine. You, he said, staring at me intensely, are terrifying. I defended her, I meekly protested. She started it. I just finished it. She is the daughter of a chaebol. No one speaks to her like that. Well, someone should. She's rude. He spun me around. I stumbled slightly, but he caught me, pulling me flush against his chest. Suddenly, the room felt very small. The noise of the gala faded away. I could smell him, sandalwood and rain. I could feel the heat radiating off him through his suit. Thank you, he said softly. I looked up. What for? For defending me. Usually I am the one fighting. Hey, it's part of the contract. Protective fake fiancé clause, Section 4, Paragraph B. He didn't laugh. He just kept looking at me. His eyes weren't cold anymore. They were dark, intense, and searching. His hand slid up from my waist to my back. My breath hitched. You look beautiful tonight, Maya, he whispered. Jae-hyun, I mean it. He leaned in closer. His gaze dropped to my lips. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Is he going to kiss me? Is this part of the show? Or is this real? He tilted his head. I closed my eyes, leaning into him. The world stopped. Just inches away. And then, buzz, buzz, Jae-hyun's phone vibrated violently in his pocket. We pulled apart like we'd been electrocuted. He cleared his throat, stepping back. The mask slammed back into place. I have to take this, he said, his voice rough. It's the board. Right, I said, smoothing my dress, trying to ignore the disappointment crushing my chest. Wait here, he said. I'll be right back. He turned and walked away toward the balcony. I stood there alone on the dance floor, feeling like Cinderella right after the clock struck 12. But as I watched him go, I realized something terrifying. The contract said 6 months, but I was already in trouble, because that almost kiss, it didn't feel fake at all.